On my way back to Brunswick. It is 11:28, so I'll be home at 10 to 12-ish, around there. I had a great day with Amy and the kids. We did go to see Wicked, for anybody who was interested in seeing that movie, and you don't mind. It is a musical, right? I looked past that. I didn't care. It was actually pretty good. Amy did not like it, to be honest. But it's funny, when... And I'm a little bit older, but, The Wizard of Oz. When I was a kid, everybody knew what The Wizard of Oz. My kids had no idea what The Wizard of Oz was. Never dawned on me that they wouldn't. So the movie's kind of lost on them. Anyway, you know what I'm talking about. If you're interested in it, you'll like it. So I thought it was pretty good. So it was a great day with Amy and the kids, and then obviously we had three racing tonight. 2 in Ohio, 1 in Chicago. I'll get the 1 in Chicago out of the way. The filly race terrible. She trotted terrible. She looked terrible, and that's probably her last start of the season. I know Jim said she's got a series coming up, but I'm more apt to just put her in the sale and say, listen, somebody else can let her mature, grow up, and race. She did race a couple of good races this year. Showed that she had a little bit, but wasn't amongst the top, right? That race went 56-2 tonight. She's 3 seconds from 56-2. Nice filly. You can tell she tries. She's got a good attitude, but tonight she was terrible. So just put that to bed right now. There's no other way to describe it. She just wasn't trotting good. Now, we had 2 in Ohio. We had I'm Fancy Like, who I was certain would be claimed, and I was partially right. I'll get to that in a second. And then we had Casanova Hall, who I had no idea how he would be. Would he be tight enough? Would he be okay on 1 his shoes and 2 his feet? That foot has blown, since his scratch, has blown 3 pus pockets out of that left front foot, the bulbs back here. Now, I guess it's not that shocking. When you have a horse that has spent the majority of his life making breaks, when they make breaks, they're always banging and clanging and pounding on those front feet. And sometimes there can be some deep-rooted and deep-seated bruising in there, which ends up being a quarter crack or a foot separation or a pus pocket that will blow out. And for whatever reason, he had a lot going on in that left front foot. We had scratched him at a date, and it took a week for Jason and Lauren to get it cleaned up. We opted to put a mushroom bar on it. Now, the reason being, we went to train him the other day. Jason came in, and there was blood coming out of the... it doesn't really matter, because it ended up being a pus pocket on both sides. Inside, I believe, inside of his foot. And he had told me that there was something brewing on the outside bulbs of his feet. Now, to take the pressure, the bulbs are the back of the hoof, the soft part of the back. To take that pressure off, we ended up putting a mushroom bar on him to train that day. I said, well, we got to get him trained. It's going to rain all week. Today's the day to get him trained up. The blacksmith came in between trips, put a mushroom bar on that foot. So now he had an aluminum shoe right front, turned around backwards, and he had a full swedge mushroom bar on his left front. That's what he had on. I just really wanted to get some work into him. He trained great. Trained him in 2 minutes, come out 58. He was very strong and sound. That blood that was coming out from the first trip with Jason had dissipated. There was no more, maybe some remnants, but nothing major. Lauren told me that he'd blown something again out of his foot yesterday morning, a little spot with a little dampness on the animal index was there. So that's 3 pus pockets he'd blown out since his scratch. Bit of a mess. What are we going to do with his shoeing? I said just leave him alone for Saturday. Keep working on his feet. We'll leave him exactly how he is. And that's how we raced him today. Remember I told you about the pig farmer meter? Not very often you're going to get away with racing a trotter in an aluminum shoe right front and a full swedge mushroom bar left front. Not very often. And that only goes to show the confidence. We talk about the special shoes, and sometimes you'll have horsemen and they'll engage in these deep conversations about shoeing on horses. This is how I shot it. This is how we got him right. Like it's the only way it would have came about. Mushroom bar, egg bar, flip flop. Probably any of the above would have worked tonight with that horse. What worked on him, and the reason he's racing so much better and behaving so much better, is because he has confidence. That's really what you're trying to attain. And I talked about that the other day in depth with a couple of our horses. But Casanova Hall, you saw how hard it was to get him away from the gate, how hot he was at the gate, all those breaks that he showed making. And if you looked really close at his chart lines late on the video, you probably could have found a couple more X's there that were missed because they were just quick little short breaks. None of that anymore. We took that problematic horse that was making all those breaks and turned him into a confident, consistent trotter. And he was very confident today. Ears up, going back to his feet have to be hurting a little bit. They have to be. Ears up, going back to the winner's circle. Just a nice horse. And I told Ronnie pulling up, I said, I love Prince Charmer. Everybody loved him. He always put an honest effort in. Always was nice in the barn. Very polite animal. I said, these two horses are very, very similar. I said, mine is faster than yours, but not by much. I said, very, very nice horse. Just tough. And his drivers, and Ronnie had said too, he goes, I know, he said, I really like this horse, because you can tell as a driver, you can tell you don't have to have the fastest horse or the best horse. You have to sit behind a horse that puts in an honest effort, that tries. And as a driver, you know it. And it feels good to sit behind a horse that is trying as hard as maybe you are. For a guy like Ronnie, who drives all these good horses at Burke's, for him to say, yeah, he likes Prince Charmer, it's exactly what I'm talking about. You respect that. I was happy to see him race good too. Happy to see him be second, but happy to see him race good. So Casanova Hall raced great, and then earlier in the card, I'm Fancy, like I told you guys, she was likely going to be claimed. As I'm going to the gate, I hear them call Elson Miller to the paddock office. Judges. Now, why would anybody be called minutes before the start of a race? And I know that Elson was asking about I'm Fancy Like. I said, I bet you they disallowed the claim on this filly for one reason or another. So, she raced great. Got away in the 2-hole, finished second to a horse that was just probably a better horse. Raced good. Raced very good. Second at 54-4 this time of year. Tonight, it's 3 degrees Celsius, 38 degrees out. And it was pretty close to that when she raced. She raced good. Did everything right. So I was torn on, and I'm trying to listen, pulling up, because in Ontario, they'll tell you the race before your race. Like if you're in race 5, it'll pop up on the screen before the post-parade race 4, race 5, claim on number 3. In the States, I don't know about every state, but I know in this state and in Pennsylvania, you have no idea until you're pulling up the horse was claimed. Now, I'm sure you can figure out why. Guy hears his horse is claimed, just lets him rattle, which is dumb. I want to get every dollar I can right down to the last second. They're in our care. But some people aren't like that, I guess. So they don't tell you until after the race. So I'm listening. I don't hear anything. I hear multiple claims on the 2. Brian Loney got the horse. I don't hear the 4. They're taking the number off. I said, she get claimed? They said, no. Okay, cool. I'm pulling my bike into the paddock. Up comes Elson Miller. I can tell by the look on his face. I was right. He goes, they disallowed the claim. I said, that's terrible. What to tell you? Well, would you sell her? Yeah, probably. 25.5 is more than fair. It's a great class for her. Sure, that's fine. Well, let me talk to the owner. Now, I have the benefit of knowing who the claimant was. It's one of our clients, which is perfectly fine. He doesn't own any of them. Fancy Like, so it's nothing wrong. He said, would you take less? No. I mean, how can I go back to you? How can I go back to our clients and say, would you take less than claiming price in Philly? Because this is a progressive claiming series. The tag goes up next week to 17 or 18. The tag to claimer next week's going to be somewhere around 30. Now, I'm sure I can talk to everybody. I still think 25.5 is fair. Would have taken that likely. I'm sure a lot of clients would say, oh, we should race her. I'm indifferent. I'm fine either way. We can't possibly, in good faith, take less. That would be a disservice to the people that own the horse now. If you claim the horse, I would have no problem with that. We couldn't possibly take less. So we'll continue on with Fancy. I'm fine with that. I would flip-flop now. I don't think she'll be claimed next week. So likely what will happen is she's going to race next Sunday night and be on the preferred sale on Monday. And I don't know what's going to happen. No idea. I'm not going to drop any names, but for the gentleman that was looking to buy the filly, I assume you're looking to buy her for the track in your jurisdiction next year. Sweet filly. Has never taken a lame step in her life. Very, very minimal vet work. I think we do her knees every 5 or 6 weeks, maybe. Just a nice filly. So, if they want her, if they want to claim her next week, they can, I suppose. And otherwise, we'll see what happens following that. But we will likely race her next Sunday and put her on the preferred online sales platform on Monday morning. Somebody can buy her and race her in the final, I suppose. The reason being, this is important. For us here in Ohio, there's not really a ton of classes for her. I can race her in Dayton, where she's going to have to pick it up a little bit. We could look for something at the Meadows, but obviously Yonkers is off the table because of the break that she made. Now, she doesn't even show the break. She did make a break at Yonkers. I suppose she could go to Dover. But these are places other people can race her to. We're in the midst of regrouping, turning over some of our horses, and Fancy would be and will be one of them. So, I may not have brought her name up on the sale list simply because I was absolutely certain she was going to be claimed tonight. I was right, but it wasn't an official claim because it was disallowed for some clerical reason. Not a big deal. So you guys are pretty much up to date. You know what took place tonight, what's taking place all weekend. I think we got some horses racing at Mohawk tomorrow. If I'm not mistaken, definitely Gas is in tomorrow. I don't believe we have anything racing here. Tuesday, I believe, is George. Wednesday, we have some horses in both the Meadows and at Northfield on Wednesday afternoon and night. Thursday's Thanksgiving here, so Thursday, likely after we get done at the barn, we'll head back to Ontario. I guess I'll have to check the border too, because it's a big travel day, right? I don't know. But we plan on heading back to Ontario on Thursday. Friday, I'm going to train some horses. I'll line up the trainers this week with Harry and with Dominic, what days they want to train, who they want to train. I'd like to get a look at most of our horses. Maybe have a look at or sit behind the babies. I haven't seen Simply Chaotic myself yet. They say, James says he's a nice horse, travels really nice. I have seen Dune. I have seen Lifting Legend. I'm curious to see how James's horse looks also. So that's how my week is going to look this week. Tomorrow, I'm going to go with most of the babies in the morning that I deem maybe need a little helping hand. Get a real good look at them tomorrow. We do plan on videoing for you guys on Tuesday. That's the plan right now. Not set in stone, but it is written in sand. And I plan on videoing for you on Tuesday. I'll send an email out to Kelly tonight, maybe get some set lists together, and see how that will go. Tuesday, that will be videoing. Tuesday night racing at Northfield Park. Wednesday afternoon, the Meadows. Wednesday evening, Northfield. Thursday morning, Burn. Thursday afternoon will be Ontario, where I'll remain until Sunday when I race here at Northfield Park. So with that, I'm going to let you go. We're getting pretty close to midnight. The weekend is over. I had a tremendous weekend with the kids, with Amy. It was a lot of fun. Nice, easy Saturday. Lots going on today. Certainly one of those, one for sure, of 52 that was memorable. A great weekend. And I hope it was great for you guys too. Take care. I will talk to you all likely tomorrow sometime. Take care.